Welcome to your school news. I'm Jason Ergala. There's a lot of great things happening here in the school system. Along with watching this show, we hope you like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Now for a look at our top headlines. Parsley students experience holidays from around the world. Board of Education December special meeting notes, and Sunset Park holds a book and donuts event to encourage students reading. Our top story this week, with everything going on in the world right now, traveling is not really an option. Well, at Parsley Elementary School, they decided to try and find an alternative. First graders got the opportunity to explore different countries around the world in a mock travel activity and learn about those different countries, different cultures, and how they celebrate the holidays. Here's a full story.
Today we are traveling to Italy. We have been traveling around the world learning about different holidays around the world and how different cultures celebrate them. The overall purpose is to expose them to different cultures and their traditions. A lot of times young students will focus on their traditions and their cultures, and we want to give them the experience of other cultures. And we have done it every year in first grade, but we expanded it this year with the traveling on a plane, which they might not get to do this holiday season or ever because of everything going on in the world. Feedback we're getting from parents, how excited they are, even on their remote learning days, to watch the videos about different countries and different cultures, and how they're sharing it with them at dinner time and sharing it with their younger siblings or their older siblings. It's really nice to see and hear. Overall, they're excited to come to school. They walk in the door and they want to know where we're traveling to, and they really get into it. This is why I love this age. They are full on board for traveling. They know that they need their passport and that they need to buckle their seatbelts. And when we leave for the end of the day, they ask if they can unbuckle their seatbelts and if we arrived back home. My own son is in first grade, and he talks nonstop about it and is teaching us at dinner how to say Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas in other languages. I hope that when they graduate, they remember their first grade experience of traveling around the world. Even if they were at home learning that day, that they remember those countries.
Hanover County Board of Education held a special meeting on Tuesday, December 12th. There were several items on the agenda in a meeting that ran 5 hours long. With all the news and notes is YSN reporter Johan Yellow.
The Board of Education held a special meeting on December 12th. It was the second meeting in under a week for the board. There were several items on the agenda, but the meeting also provided information to help the 4 new board members get up to speed. Let's get right to the board notes. Under recognition of achievement, the school system's partnership with the New Hanover County Fire Department was highlighted, and an overview of their school programs was presented. Then Holly Tree Elementary was the school showcase for the month. Then under Headstart Board Liaison Nelson Bollier presented the Headstart policy bylaws. The board reviewed and approved the bylaws. Under Information, board member Will DeBoer presented the FAR UV, which was a report on how UVC light can be used to control airborne diseases. Then Board Chair Adams asked the board to start thinking about the board goals that they would like to give Superintendent Dr. Faust. The next item under Information was the rules of the board. The board attorney went over the policies of how the board meetings work and along with other rules of the board. Then the attorney went over the board responsibilities. The final item on Information was end of course testing. Dr. Faust explained how testing was working this year and a possible letter to be written to the state about the testing procedures. Old business was the next item on the agenda. The transition to Plan A was heavily discussed. The board heard reports from all areas of senior staff on the transition. The board voted to postpone the transition until Tuesday, January 19th. The next regular Board of Education meeting will be Tuesday, January 5th at 5:30 p.m. at the Board of Education Center, 1805 South 13th Street. Members of the public are welcome to attend, but in-person attendance will be strictly limited to no more than 25 audience members in accordance with CDC Safe Social Distance guidelines. As always, if you cannot attend the meeting in person, you can watch it live stream on our YouTube page or watch the rebroadcast here on NHCs TV, Spectrum Cable Channel 5. And that's your board notes for this December special meeting.
Sunset Park Elementary recently held a fun books and donuts event. Parents drove students up to the school and were greeted at their car windows by teachers and staff members. Everyone received a free Krispy Kreme donut, including parents, and all students received a free book to take home and keep. Along with spreading holiday cheer, the event was designed to encourage literacy. The books were grade level appropriate, and teachers hope they will inspire students to read during the holiday break. Students had huge smiles as they arrived. They were just as happy to see their teachers as they were to get a free donut and book. It was a great event for all involved and a wonderful way to spread the joy of reading during the ongoing pandemic. One teacher at Wrightsboro Elementary is leading the way with an innovative tool that helps bring families together while also helping students learn. YSN reporter Brand Shope visited the school and brings us the full story.
Wrightsboro Elementary is working with Argo Play, which is an augmented reality platform in Europe. And we are the first school in the state to be given license to use their augmenting editing software. So we decided to have the grade levels and the specialists to create ornaments. And we collected all types of media, videos, pictures, animations, and what we did was we superimposed those onto the ornaments so that when you scan them with the Argo app, you'll see the augmentation come up, or the augmented reality. We wanted to come up with a way to connect with our family and the children during the pandemic, since we all can't be here together. This augmentation allows us to share with all of the families and the students, even our remote students who aren't here, the things that we've been doing at Wrightsboro. We're able to connect the family with the technology and along with the academics as well. And by sending the flyer home to everyone, it puts it in their hands and they're able to scan it with the app and see everything come alive.
Some ways we can extend using Argo is actually have the students record strategies that work best for them and become peer teachers to other kids that might be struggling. And sometimes that works better for students, is hearing it from peers rather than adults. They learn more from hearing each other and looking at the videos to solve it. Some other ways that we decided to use it was to link our support for families to one of the ornaments, and this way they can access the websites over the holidays, and it's a one scan shop. You know, you just scan it and everything's there that you need, as well as giving families the support they need to help their students in their online learning, as well as some read-alouds they can use over the holidays.
It just is a fantastic way to bring learning into the home and involve our parents.
It empowers them and they're able to see that they can accomplish something that is probably unimaginable, because AR and VR is very slowly coming into education. So I think that it gives them voice, and it also makes their learning meaningful and relevant.
This is your school news on cable and online. Look for our blue logo for all the latest news online at www.nhcs.net.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Welcome back to your school news. I'm Jason Regala. It's time now for our Education Index, a look around the nation and world at some of the top stories in education. Topping the index, teacher unions are pressuring the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to prioritize access to a coronavirus vaccine for the country's 5 million public school employees as the first approved immunizations hit the market in the U.S. With nearly a third of the educator workforce over the age of 55, placing them at higher risk for a more serious infection if they were to contract the coronavirus. Another quarter of the workforce had medical issues like heart disease or diabetes, which also puts them at a high-risk category. Were children more likely to not know if they are infected because they are asymptomatic, combined with the fact that some schools are reopening without the proper personal protective and sanitizing equipment and in buildings with poor ventilation, the education groups argue it's imperative that the school staff are at the top of the vaccination list. The National Education Organizations hope the CDC recommending educators and school staff for vaccination priority could change that and remove one of the biggest barriers to reestablishing a functioning public education system that largely collapsed for more than 50 million children in March. There has been some controversy with parents and their children going to school. Parents are afraid that with the new COVID cases rising and that their children will end up getting sick at some point. Black and Latino parents are more concerned than white parents about schools reopening for in-person learning in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, a new report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention concludes. One analysis of the 858 parents with children in kindergarten through grade 12 showed that overall, 57% of parents strongly or somewhat agreed that schools should reopen this fall, but responses varied significantly by race. While 62% of white parents agreed that schools should reopen in the fall, only 46% of Black and 50% of Hispanic parents did. Parents of other racial and ethnic minority groups, including parents who identified as American Indian, Alaskan Native, Asian, and multiracial, were more concerned about students adhering to social distancing and mask wearing than white parents and Hispanic parents. While all parents would like schools to be in a position to reopen for in-person learning safely, low-income families, including those in racial and ethnic minority groups, have more urgency to see their schools do so, as many lack internet access, computers, and job flexibility to support remote learning. Parents will keep pushing for safer conditions to send their child to while trying to protect them from this deadly virus. Finally, colleges are losing a lot of money due to the deadly virus. The University of California school system, with 10 campuses and more than 285,000 students, was losing money with $2.2 billion in lost revenue and additional costs, mostly due to the pandemic. Some of those losses were from the medical centers administering COVID patients. In the age of pandemic-induced remote learning, the campuses were largely deserted, and when students aren't living on campus, schools stopped making money. In this generation, universities' dorm rooms cost a lot of money, and a lot of that money goes into them. A New York Times rolling survey of roughly 1,900 colleges and universities has tracked more than 321,000 viral infections on campuses among students, faculty, and staff, with at least 80 deaths being reported. The expected arrival of a coronavirus vaccine is welcomed, but at many campuses, students are unlikely to pay for room and board again into the fall, and even then, perhaps, in reduced numbers. Schools around the country generally operate within the health and safety guidelines of their cities or counties. As the nation plunges into this worst phase of the pandemic, that means few opportunities for return to campus until a vaccine becomes available for college students, which may be well into the summer. These schools will be taking every precaution from now on to be safe and not have students to go to the hospital, which will cost them a lot more money. And that's this week's Education Index, a quick look at some of the interesting education stories from around the nation and the world. We'll be right back to your school news, and it continues on cable and online. Look for our blue logo for all the latest news online at www.nhcs.net.
Hello.
Hi, I'm from Blue Hood Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you, and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again?
Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come
on in.
Brochettes with sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end pieces of the zucchini, and they're the cores that we cut away, not to mention zucchini flower. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that, oh.
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
We'll have a little zucchini stem pasta, a different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
Welcome back to your school news. I'm Jason Regala. There's a lot going on Twitter these days, and with our NHCS chat hashtag, you can join the conversation. Right now, it's time for our What's Tweeting segment. All the latest NHCS news and infos that are creating a buzz on Twitter. Our first story this week comes from Trask Middle, where a student was named New Hanover County Schools Student of the Week. Trask 6th grader Kaylee Biggs was awarded the honor by StarNews for her excellence in her academic studies and class attendance, as well as for her enthusiasm for learning. Kaylee aims to continue her hard work and plans to earn a master's degree and become a doctor or writer in the future. Congratulations, Kaylee. Next, we head over to Hoggard High, where two students recently delivered school supplies to a local elementary school. Siblings Quaid and Grant Sutherland are members of the Give Global student organization. They helped deliver much-needed supplies plus a few gifts to Williams Elementary. This event is just the most recent way that Give Global and its students have assisted Williams. Thanks for your hard work, Quaid and Grant. Our next tweet features 3 NHCS principals who were recently recognized with the Heart and Hustle Award. Principals Mr. Smith of MCS Noble Middle, Miss Greer of Connington Elementary, and Mr. Pearson of Career Readiness Academy at Mosley were given their award for their exceptional hard work at their respective schools. Keep up the good work, principals. Now we head to Murray Middle, where the orchestra teacher has adapted to allow her students to still have a performance. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, Miss Jasmine Medunik is putting together an ensemble performance of orchestra students by recording her face-to-face and remote students at work. Ms. Medunik's hard work is a great example of a teacher persevering to allow her students to have their moment to shine. Thanks for going above and beyond, Ms. Medunik. Over at Castle Hayne Elementary, students and staff participated in a jolly holiday card drive-thru event. Nicknamed Baby It's Cold Outside, students and their parents received books, hot chocolate, fresh fruit, and even a visit from Santa Claus himself. The event was a great success, and staff were thankful that they were able to spread Christmas cheer to the families they serve. Awesome event, Castle Hayne. Our final story this week comes from Roland-Grise Middle, where many of the school's families helped to treat faculty and staff. Roland-Grise's PTSO, with the help of many generous Roland-Grise families, recently gifted every staff and faculty member at the school with a gift card. The school's PTSO was very grateful for the generous contributions of so many families. Thank you so much, Knights families. This is your school news on cable and online. Look for our blue logo for all the latest NHCS news online, with all the news online at nhcs.net. Also make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Welcome back to your school news. I'm Jason Regala. High school athletics are starting to show signs of life, and one of the first sports to be able to have competitions again is cross country. Reporter Robert Red met up with New Hanover County High School's cross country coach Greg Zinner and talked with him about the new season this year and the challenges they faced.
Hi, I'm Greg Zinner. I'm the head cross-country coach at New Hanover High School. The running community in general, I tell you, has been raring to compete for months now. We're slowly seeing that come back at the local and state and national level as far as this new normal of racing that we've developed, where we have reductions in numbers, we have people spaced out at start lines, we're wearing masks to the start, to the finish. But once that gun goes off and kids start racing, I mean, it's running, it's racing, and it's just as competitive as before. In fact, in some cases, I think it might even be a little more competitive. The ones who are out here, I mean, it's full-bore competition right now. We're going as fast as ever. To give you some background, we started running on July 6th, anticipating our season starting the beginning of August. We were notified in August that no, we'd be starting in November. Basically keep these student athletes focused on running and on their goals. We build in some reduction as far as training and volume and intensity and things we do like that. Try to keep everybody fresh, mix it up, run different places, just try to keep everybody focused on the goal, and that's to run and to compete. I think collectively we're doing great. I can't ask for anything more. For an athlete to start, and really to backtrack, a lot of the student athletes started getting together on their own back in June, I would say. So to start preparing for a season in June and July, and then not having your first actual competition till, I mean, a week shy of Thanksgiving, some 4 months later, takes tremendous focus on their part. And we're proud of each and every one of them. We're a young team here. We've got a lot of freshmen out that have never played high school sports before, so everything's brand new to them. We've got a lot of student athletes that are forcing to sort of step up at a real young age, and can't ask for anything more. And they're doing it with a smile on their face, and you know, and stepping up to the challenge. Just appreciative that we're able to do this. A couple months ago, I really didn't think any of this was going to be possible. I feared that the entire 2021 scholastic sports season was going to be lost. So, I mean, we're here right now. We'll see where we're at tomorrow.
There are many misconceptions about being a bus driver that keep people from even applying, from the traffic to the size of the bus, to rider behavior, and on. Today we hear from two of our newest bus drivers and why it is such a great job to have.
I became a bus driver because, well, I was out of a job. I've been in IT for 35 years, I lost my job, and I was doing Uber. And I met a gentleman here that I picked up to give him a ride home, and he told me all about, you know, being a school bus driver, and told me about the benefits, and so I figured that's not a bad idea. Let me go try that.
I was a bus driver previously in Wisconsin, was under a private contractor, and they didn't offer near the benefits that they do here. They offer health and accidental insurance like Aflac and things like that. And they also offer life insurance and things like that. So there's probably so many benefits, you won't take them all, trust me.
But what was really beneficial was definitely the benefits that are provided by the state and New Hanover County Schools, which really helped out tremendously because where my wife works, she doesn't have benefits. So this covered both me and my wife, and the benefits are wonderful. The one thing that I think that's been very helpful with being a new driver is really not having a full bus of 60 or 70 kids. This has kind of been perfect for a new driver to kind of ease into it with only maximum of 24 students on the bus. However, I got to admit, like I do 3 runs in the morning, elementary school, high school, and middle school, and all 3 of those runs are really great and smooth. The young elementary school are perhaps the most rambunctious of the group because they're still learning discipline and other things like that. But nothing's out of hand. You just tell them to sit in your seat and they do. And I've had no problems with any of the kids. It kind of makes me reflect at times with the elementary school kids when my 2 boys were in elementary school taking a bus. So it's really very nice. Like the kids are really sweet and they're just very nice and they listen to you.
For the shift hours for me, it works out tremendous because I go do my little errands and it's really only a couple hours. So you could either go home or take a nap or whatever.
The one thing that maybe just took a few weeks to get used to was just the time in between different runs. But after a few days, you get to realize that it's kind of nice having that extra time because it allows you to make any kind of a doctor's appointment. If you need a doctor's appointment, if you have to get your car fixed, you have time to do that. It gives you that extra freedom that you don't have on a regular 8 to 5 job. What I like about driving the bus is the freedom that I have. I love to drive, and the people that I work with. The people that I work with are really good people.
The reason why I thought about being a bus driver is because the pay wasn't bad. It was awesome part-time hours when I first started. And I liked kids, I loved kids, and my grandchildren were saying, yeah, get me, Grandma, get me. So I was looking forward to that. So I look forward to kids. Then I went into the EC part of it, and that's where my heart is. So those little guys are special. So anyway, that's what drives me every day.
Remember, if you are interested in learning more about becoming a bus driver, call 910-254-4080. The Transportation Department will love to tell you all about this great opportunity. Well, that's all we have for today's show. Keep it tuned here each week for all the latest from New Hanover County Schools. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Jason Nagala. Thanks for watching.